Oh, so here's how you fly or float. So your normal state of consciousness, you're existing on the surface of reality, and the gravity is kind of pressing that into you. And so picture that as like a bubble on top of the water. If you undisassociate, like if you turn your being itself towards God, you fall into your consciousness, right? And when you fall into your consciousness, reality here, what you used to be falling down or being pressed into, is above you. You're inside yourself, and so the surface then becomes this thing that you're suspended towards, or suspended, and kind of what you're grabbing it with primarily is your eyes. So that's the look of devotion that you see in saints, is that kind of upward draw. That's you've exhaled enough with the nose, you've let out with your being. I don't know, you have to be kind of coached into it, but once you breathe correctly, exhale correctly, fall into being correctly, and come up with a way to breathe to exist there, you can, your breath itself, your breath is what attracts you to reality. This whole, all of reality becomes a surface that when you inhale, it adds buoyance to you and pulls you towards this world. The breath pulls you towards this world. If you stop breathing, you go away, right? The breath is what pulls you here in every sense of the word. Sorry, let me turn off my radio frequency detector. So it's what pulls you here in every sense of the word. So when you inhale, you want to float up towards it. So you're constantly falling away. When you fall into being, when you give yourself over to God, you're constantly falling into God. Your breath causes you to float towards your sight, towards your vision. And the surface of reality from within God becomes heaven, right? So you're in heaven, and then that's this surface world. And then that's where the flying or the floating comes from. It's the same surface, it's the same reality, but your default state is that of falling away, floating. And so when that's stabilized, so then you can exist under and in that rather than outside and above it. And then if that's the default state, then there's levitation, there's flotation, there's flying, and I don't think it has to be like that big of a, I don't know if I would call it, it's like so associated with like spiritual accomplishment or stuff like that, and it's just it's like an athletic feat. It's just people worship cities, or like these spiritual powers are awesome, and they're just athletic accomplishments that are often associated with virtues like discipline and yada yada. Those things make you like better, and so it's like then you have more athletic accomplishments, but that's all it is. So you think like saints and mystics and people like that have like floaty powers. It's not necessarily a sign of spiritual advancement whatsoever. But ultimately, like shared collective like athletic powers like it's a big game changer socially. Like if everyone is light and buoyant and levity, and they can move around freely instead of being weighed down by disease or despair or technology or whatever, then, you know, levity is a big deal. Levity is a gift. Levity is a charity. You know, to give children the gift of levity is really, there's no, like, while in and of itself it's not a spiritual attainment, but, you know, giving it away, I would say it's just as cool as giving money away.